Hey everybody, Neil with the Academy. Today I have for you an unboxing of Twilight of the Reich from Multiman Publishing and Bill Carrillo. In it, it's detailed the last days of Germany, all the way from the German borders to the streets of Berlin. So let's dig into it. Twilight of the Reich, MMP. Cover art, amazing cover art in my opinion, by Steve Noon from his book from Osprey Publishing. Endgame in the European theater, 1944 to 1945. There's a lot of debate on what this module was. Is it historical? Is it a core module? Is it a action pack on steroids? What is it? It's probably all three, if you think about it. It's a very specific topic. Endgame, basically in Germany, 1944 to 1945. It adds new units for both the Germans and the Russians. I believe Volksgrenadiers and NKVD for the Russians. And it has a bunch of scenarios similar to an action pack, like a themed action pack, but it is ASL Core Module 16. Maybe a little bit of an anomaly in the system. I don't care. It's cool. Let's take a look at the back. The name of the book is that the cover art is from Siegfried Line, 1944 to 1945. Okay, Twilight of the Reich. As I mentioned, it has new units for the Germans for Volksgrenadiers, Russians, and KVD. 15 of the 17 scenarios deal with the Allied advance from the borders of Germany to the streets of Berlin. And then there are two, I think, that involve NKVD units. I think this is a heavily, without digging into it, we'll see, heavily kind of Allied skewed, or Western Front skewed scenarios. I don't know if there's very many Russian scenarios involving them coming from the east side of Germany and driving to Berlin. I will see what's in here. Contents, we've got 4 double-sided geomorphic maps, 48 overlays, for those of you who love to cut overlays. I just use my wife's scan and cut because she does scrapbooking. I just put it in and it cuts them out automatically for me. 2 counter sheets, as I previously mentioned. 17 scenarios also, as I previously mentioned, and some updated rule pages, probably national capabilities, maybe some scenario or chapter H notes. I'm not sure. We will see. And of course, previously mentioned in the intro that it was designed by Bill Carrillo, who also did Fest on Budapest, and I think it has a couple scenarios from Tom Moran as well. All right. Very cool. Let me open it up and we'll get to it. All right, let's do this. I skimmed through it, divided it up into the sections that I'm normally used to going through. Skipped the packing sheet. Already went through that. Here's the rules section. Oh, I have a new camera set up. I think I have better lighting. I have a better zoom out area. I have a better framing. So hopefully this looks better. We shall see. New rules edition. This is the nationality section for the rule book, and I presume that these will be folded into the electronic rule book very shortly, and the next printing of the pocket rule book will include the update as well. There aren't that many actually new rules that they've added. All they did was added some nationality info, such as late war SS and how the unit substitution works. And there's so many pages. It looks like there's so many pages because it just kind of blows the page numbers. They just kind of have to shift them all, and then they printed. A lot of this stuff is like Russians and partisans and whatnot is old. They just had to kind of shift everything, so they had to print more pages than normal. But here's the new information on the Germans that are included, including the Volksgrenadiers, which are the 537s. I think this is all the same. Human waves. Here's the NKVD marked with the hammer and sickle, and I believe, yeah, they are NKVD MMC are second line troops, and they are included in the order of battle as well. This is all the same, I believe, just kind of shifted. Yeah. And then there's an update to Chapter B. And it's interesting to note that they included this in the actual core rule set now. So they added rail cars, which are now part of the full rules. So you could use rail cars in a scenario design if you wanted to, because it's in the rulebook. It's not an SSR in Twilight of the Reich. And they also added debris and debris generation here right at the end. This is all the same. Debris right at the end here, and they go through that. So now you have a couple more terrain items in your ASL toolkit. You have rail cars and debris and debris generation as well. Okay, these fell out, and I have no idea what these are. I looked through the scenario sheets. There's nothing really in the rules that they added. I looked at the Twilight of the Reich special rules sheet. It's only one page long, and it's basically talks about reinforcements or purchasing points. These are some kind of mortar cards for, Russian, German, Americans, and basically gives you things like, mortar A, mortar B. I don't know what that means. Maybe it's on one of the scenario cards. I couldn't find it. Range to target, basic 2-hit number, white phosphorus, 2-hit number, spotted fire, etc., with a hex on it. This must be used somewhere. I don't know where it is used without sitting down and reading through everything. But if you know, post in the comments below. Enlighten us on what these cards. This is new to any module that I have purchased from MMP, so it's kind of interesting. Scenario or the counters. A lot of these are just extras, right? You have 838. Well, they have the SS logo on them, but they're 838 engineers, 658s, etc. Here are the Volksgrenadiers, the 537s. There's some assault engineers in here. It's just more Germans for your ASL fun. The only new addition really is, there's SS counters. And maybe the late war substitution is a little bit different, but the only new unit is the 537. Then on sheet 2, we have a little bit of everything. Here are the NKVD Russians. We have some Americans. We have some American assault engineers with 5 smoke exponent, some Commonwealth, a few leaders, a bunch of debris counters because debris and debris generation is important in Twilight of the Reich, and then some Axis miner and some Hungarian, it looks like, little tankette things here, and a couple German anti-tank guns, and some rail car counters as well. So that's the extent of the counters. A bunch of Germans and 2 extra types of units on either side. All right, let's do the maps. These are the double-sided maps. I don't know what order they're in. This is 16A. I'm not going to go both sides. 16A. If you like cities and city fighting, this is it. Look at all the stairwells. A lot of row houses within these buildings. Yeah, that new chapter B, it must be referring to this type of configuration for buildings. Some small graveyards. There is a huge graveyard, or several huge graveyard overlays that I'll show you here in a bit. 16A. 17A, I guess, is next. Looks like factory. Most of these are factories. There are roads going into most of them, nearly all of them. These are all huge factories. So if you like playing with factories, blown up factories, debris riddled factories, this is probably the module for you. Very dense. Probably like I haven't played Red Barricades, frankly. Every time I think about it, I get the cold sweats. It kind of intimidates me a little bit. I've never played Red Barricades, but this probably gives you a flavor of Red Barricades at a smaller scale. Just a guess on my part, just from looking at it. 18A, a little more open up here, kind of like a central park type configuration with orchards, some dirt roads, and some paths and some wood buildings and sewers. Lots of were there sewers? Yeah, there's sewers all over on these maps. I just noticed that sewer entry and exit points all over the place, and small park here. I presume again a lot of the scenarios probably have a bunch of these overlays on top of them, but again, it gives you options if you like to design scenarios for more urban ASL combat. And this is 19A, the last of the 4 boards. More urban environment. Got one big roundabout there and a mini roundabout there. Well, again, lots of sewer. None of the sewers is really are really in the streets. There's one there. They're all in buildings. There were some in the park on that last board, or what I would call a park. There's some in the park on the roads there, which is kind of interesting. Yeah, the other previous boards, I don't see any on the roads. They're all in buildings. Oh, here's 2 more here. Oh, and here, just as I say it, I start noticing sewers on the roads. Okay, but the previous boards I didn't see them. Okay, overlays. So you say you like overlays. Well, have I got overlays for you? We have everything here. Not everything. We have large buildings, not factories, just big buildings. Rails. Now I didn't look at the rules. There are rail car counters and there are rail car images on overlays. I presume again that if it's printed in the hex, that the rail car rule applies in that hex. That you don't have to put a rail car counter on the hex as well. That it's some sort of inherent on the map terrain. Oh, people are gonna have fun cutting these out. Oh, love that. Now that's a cemetery. Biggest cemetery in ASL, without a doubt. Some more single hex rail car, another rail car, a bunch of rails, couple random buildings. I better go through these quick. Another big graveyard, more rails. Do you like rail rules? You're set. Looks like a rail yard. Nice. Oh, this is kind of a cool overlay. You can put some wood buildings in the middle of your stone city. Yeah, looking at those maps, +3 terrain, effect modifier everywhere. There's going to be a lot of close-up fighting there to get any results, I think. Big rail yard overlays here, some smaller ones with rail cars as well. Now, I didn't read the rail car rules. I asked the question on Facebook, what type of terrain? Are they TEM? Are they just a hindrance? Are they both? Or do they block line of sight? I don't know. You would have to, I didn't read the rules. You'll have to check on that. More rails, more big buildings, but not factories. I guess they could be considered factories, even though there's not a road going into them. You could probably define them as factories if you wanted to. Now that's factory. Again, no road going in, but you could call that a factory. More rails, rails for days. More rails, and a large rail station. Oh, this is kind of cool. Rail workshop, I guess you might call it. More rails, railroads. Big stone building, and that's just a sheet of paper. Okay, that's it. 48 overlays. Are they going to reprint the overlay pack someday down the road, or are they going to include these into it years down the road? Maybe, I don't know, but more overlays for your collection. Scenarios. This is it. This is the end. Bunch of scenarios. But first, I'm going to start with the scenario special rule sheet. It's on the back of all the scenarios. And what I wanted to show was, well, two parts. There's a column here for rubble and rubble creation or rubble generation and debris and how that works. And then over here, there's a few little sections on entrenching, hip, sport weapons, etc. And then this is where it talks about weapon and fortification purchases. The reason I want to show this first is because every scenario, I believe in this module 16, it's different than most scenario order of battle. They're fixed. Every once in a while you'll get a scenario sheet that says, oh, you can take, units A, B, or C, a leader and a squad or an anti-tank gun and a crew or whatever. In this one, every one of them has a table with points, and you have a set order of battle, then you can purchase units and add a bunch of variability to the scenario and the module as a whole. And this goes through how to use that, what different things cost. It's also on the scenario sheet. I just wanted to show you that it's on the back of the special scenario rule card. And I believe all of these rules apply to every scenario. At least at the beginning of this scenario, SSRs, it has to say that Twilight of the Reich SSRs apply, which means this page on the very back sheet applies. Okay, let's go through the scenario. So here is a lot of these are multi-sheet scenarios. They have a front and back, or they're spread across 4 sheets. It's a very large scenario. So this is last train to Leningrad. I think everything in here uses the 4 maps included and many, many, many overlays. But the scenarios are not overly long. They're fairly short. But they're dense. They're dense but short in length, which is interesting. Probably a bloodbath. And then here is your weapons and fortification purchase table for the Germans here. And it tells you, setup, you had 20, and on turn 3, you can spend 10. They enter along the south edge, you can spend 10 more. And then you can buy from this table. This is German and Russian here. And again, special scenario rules. But all these scenarios have this weapons and fortification purchase table on them for every nationality and the points on how to spend them. Okay. Bridge over the River Queen. Yeah, here you go. There's a German and Russian point table, what you can buy. I don't know if any of these are at night. Here's the dedication. It's dedicated to Lieutenant Colonel Keith Kit Bond. That's a nice touch. And then here is the Twilight of the Reich credits. Pretty extensive list. I think this has been worked on for quite a while. Lots of people worked on this, and any of us who have played ASL for a while will recognize a lot of these names. Again, designed by William Carrillo and Sean Deller. Last train to Leningrad. Yeah, that's the back of that one. They're spread all over the place here. 4 Stars of Valor, Nijmegen, Netherlands. I was under the impression that most of these scenarios were going to be basically within the German borders, but it looks like it's the last gasp of the Reich. So they're in that area, but they're not all within Germany. They're kind of in that area towards the end of the war, late 44 to April 45-ish. 4 Stars of Valor. The back of that one. Death solves all problems. German, Russian. Here's the other side of that. Yeah, most of these say see Twilight of the Reich SSRs. No man, no problem. 6.5 turns. Here's the other side. 290 scenario 292. 4 Stars of Valor is dedicated to the memory of Corporal John Madison Murphy, which is 292. Oh, 4 Stars of Valor. Okay. So this scenario is apparently, well, it's dedicated to him or to the memory of him, and he must have been involved in what happened in this scenario. That's cool. So yeah, Cool little historical tidbits in some of these scenarios. Death Box. Well, that's to the point, I guess, for a title of a scenario. Oh, is this the? Yeah, these are the little Hungarian pew pew tanks that were on the counter set that I saw earlier, that I pointed out earlier. Death Box. Damnation Game. Again, I didn't see anywhere where those mortar cards come into play. Maybe it's down in some of these SSRs. I, I don't know. I don't know how they come into play. But for me to figure it out and do the unboxing, it would probably you wouldn't get this unboxing until a week from now. So we'll just have to work through it ourselves. Breaching the Devil's Playground. Nice title. Budapest, Hungary. Russian, Germans, and Hungarians. The Dead and the Dying. You know, there's a theme here. I hear like death, devil, death solves. What was the other one here? Death Box, Damnation. These are some grim titles. I don't remember these scenarios being this grim sounding before. The Dead and the Dying. Wow. Devil, Dead and the Dying. Or maybe I just mentioned that one. Rails to Perdition. So we've got the Devil, we've got Hell here, Budapest, Hungary. Some of these intros, historical intros, and historical aftermaths are massive on these scenario cards. Rails to Perdition. Nor will deep hell receive them. Hell, here we go. I got hell again. Got a theme going. What do we have? German, Allied. Oh, I see motorcycles. I see motorcycle regiment, but I don't see motorcycles. Oh, bummer. St. Killian's Bloody Sword. Yeah, every one of these has the purchase point or the weapons of fortification purchase table on them. A vast hellish ruin. More hell. La Mort de Charlemagne. This looks like a fairly. It's only 5 turns. See, some of these scenarios are. I mean, they're not big as far as turn length goes, but you can tell they're meaty scenarios, even though they're short in turn. It may still may take a while to play because there's a lot of units. No brothers, no friends. I think this might be the big one. Maybe. It's on one board. One of these is 4 sheets long. It might be this one. But it's on one board with some overlays. This must be just a massive blood fest. Oh, this is the. Let's see, is this the. I think this is a 3-player scenario. Yeah. This big one. Uh, yeah, page 104. This is it. This is a 3-player scenario, which could be very cool. What do we have? We have Germans, Russians, and more Russians. Maybe the Russian player splits their forces across 2 players. I'm not sure how it works. Let's see if we can scan the rest of it's on the back of these. So the rat house here. No brothers, no friends. Oh boy, look at those SSRs just for this scenario. Yeah, 3-player, each of whom controls a single force. Russian, Ukrainian front. Oh, that must be in the top one. Russian, Belarusian front. Okay, yeah, and Germans. That's how it's split up. And their purchase points. Yeah, here's the turn record card, and here's the 3-person phase chart. If you ever played a 3-person scenario, it's really fun. I've only done it once, but it was a blast. 5 turns, but look at this. 27. Oh, no, that's the point track. Why did I think it was 27 turns? I must have just glanced through this really quickly when I opened it up. It's 5 turns. This is the points track, and each player probably tracks victory points, and whoever has the most at the end wins. That's usually the way 3 players work. It's by tracking victory points. Roads to Perdition, back to hell again. And that's the back is the SSRs for Twilight of the Reich. Okay, yeah, very cool. If you like urban combat, this is going to be a scenario or a module right up your alley. Doesn't look like it adds a lot of rules. There's one sheet of SSRs. Obviously, uh, there's one sheet of module SSRs, and obviously there's regular scenario SSRs. And then there's a section in the chapters B for rails and rubble, debris, basically. And that's it. So you should be able to jump right into these scenarios without too much investment in time and get rolling, really. Counters, we have these things. Post below if you know what these are used for, because I don't know what they are. And there's sheets here. Okay, that's it for this unboxing of Twilight of the Reich. This one kind of came out of the blue for me. I don't hang out regularly on a lot of the forums, and I didn't really hang out. I mean, there's so many communities. There's Consim World, Game Squad, Facebook, Discord. I mean, there's a bunch of groups on Facebook, and I'm probably missing a couple others where people hang out and talk about this stuff. Maybe the ASL mailing list when it went down the tubes a while ago, but maybe this has been in the works for quite a while, but I hadn't really heard about it until one of the journals gave an update on what was coming. And it was listed. I'm like, well, what's that? But maybe you people that are more in the know historically going back further knew about it, but this one kind of came out of the blue for me, which is, I mean, I'm always up for more ASL, whether playing it or just collecting it. I think a lot of us at this point are kind of at the twilight of our playing years, things are winding down, but we still collect this stuff because it's fascinating to look at and at least dream about playing someday. I don't know if we'll all get to it, but maybe we'll dip our toes and do it once in a while and play a scenario here and there. But it's always great fun to look at all the work and creativity that the people put into these modules like this one. So I appreciate all the work that the designers, layout people, and playtesters did on Twilight of the Reich. Please leave a comment below if you found this useful, and a request. If you watched till the bitter end, post below that you watched to the bitter end. See you next time. Academy out.